the project Cybersecurity with Minecraft. Lesson number 5 for 4th-6th grade pupils, Cyber Harassment and Cyberbullying. The digital space has become a daily place for friendship, games, and communication, yet cyberbullying can also arise there. Words or actions that undermine trust and cause harm. In this lesson, we will examine bullying and online harassment not just as isolated incidents, but as a social phenomenon whose causes and consequences must be sought in a broader context. It is important to understand that the first warning signs are often subtle, so it is worth learning to notice them before the consequences become serious. The topic is relevant because bullying online happens quickly. Comments, private messages, or repeated defamation create long-term effects. Students encounter a range of situations on social networks, in messaging apps, and in games, so the ability to recognize and respond appropriately is a practical skill. Quick responses and clear reporting channels can reduce harm and help restore safety. The lessons provide space to practice such responses and to agree on rules of conduct that work beyond the classroom. The school can establish consistent guidelines that unite efforts and better protect students. The tasks will be prepared to encourage noticing. We will analyze examples, discuss context, and identify signs. Learning here means weighing decisions rather than merely memorizing instructions. Guidelines can help students know when to turn to an adult and when to report to the platform. Reflection will encourage consideration of the impact of one's own behavior, whether we are enabling, ignoring, or reducing harm. Such reflection helps us understand that each person's contribution can change the course of a situation. Students will be invited to consider the emotional consequences of cyberbullying to better understand its long-term impact. We invite reflection on what we could do to reduce harm. Finally, the class can agree on 1 or 2 practical rules to apply when responding to similar situations. Recommended discussions can help establish class rules, reporting channels, preserving evidence, and actions after a report. Such practices of agreement increase the community's resilience. Debriefs can help refine rules that the class can periodically review and improve. This encourages continuous learning, not only reaction, but prevention. The ultimate goal is to develop attentiveness and critical thinking that allow not only the recognition of bullying, but also responsible and safe action. On this topic, students are encouraged to learn how to notice, how to respond, and how to support one another. In this way, a safer, more respectful digital community is built. The topic is relevant to schools because cyberbullying can affect students' emotional well-being, learning outcomes, and the classroom climate. Early identification and shared behavioral guidelines can help maintain a safe learning environment and reduce recurring conflicts. One of the tasks is to distinguish which texts constitute bullying. This lesson is a space to look at cyberbullying from the outside and see how it arises, how to recognize it, and how to respond. Each part of the game encourages training attentiveness so that we feel more confident online and can stop harm before it spreads. The tasks will encourage paying attention to what counts as bullying and how to act when we or others encounter it. Various situations with different characters will be examined. We encourage reflection on what in another's words makes you pause. What tone or repetitions signal demeaning intent? The task will prompt you to notice how bullying can turn into a constant burden for its target. The lesson will encourage practicing attentiveness. We will learn to observe not only words, but their consequences. This is a place to see how bullying forms, permeates discussions, and becomes entrenched as a habit. Consider which situations most often trigger bullying and how participants' roles, author, audience, bystander, change the course of events. These tasks can foster a sense of responsibility and critical thinking. In other tasks, we will analyze hurtful, harmful, false, unverified information and rumors. The messages will differ. So for each case, we recommend the reflection question. What is the origin of this message, and whom could it harm? To help form the habit of not spreading information without verification. In this way, we cultivate responsible sharing, reducing the risk of harm to others. We will also examine social media comments and threats. What words intended to intimidate mean and how to respond to them safely. Consider how a sense of safety can be restored through preserving evidence, reporting to the platform, or turning to an adult. Discussions will encourage creating class rules on reporting, preserving evidence, and reporting channels. Finally, the lesson will encourage building a support network. What bystanders, friends, and teachers can do to reduce harm and support those affected. Reflect on the long-term consequences, how online behavior affects real life, and how we can rebuild trust in the community. The goal is not only to respond to incidents, but to develop habits and norms that prevent bullying and sustain a safe, respectful digital space. We also encourage thinking about how to identify false information and whom to notify when you encounter it. We recommend discussing in class which behavioral guidelines would be most useful for responding to bullying and how to apply them in everyday practice. This lesson invites not only recognition of bullying, but reflection on your place in situations, how our reactions shape the course of events. In discussions, it is worth analyzing not only the author, but also the roles of the audience and bystanders. The project Cybersecurity with Minecraft. A sum of €50,525.18 has been allocated for the project's implementation, funded by the 2021 to 2027 European Union's Digital Europe Programme, €25.26259, and co-financed by the General Financing Funds of the Republic of Lithuania, €25.26259. The lesson package can be downloaded from the specified website.